Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. The world outside can be miserable, it can be dark, but we want to bring you some joy, we want to bring you some light. So once again, I'm Bradley and I'm joined by Stu. How are you this week, Stu?
I'm pretty good, yeah. No, I was thinking the night is dark and full of Tories. That's the way that we can express it.
That sounds like the title of like the worst modern horror film you could watch.
yeah. It's from Game of Thrones.
Night of the Living Tories.
So grim. Oh, I hate them all. Hate them all to an individual. But apart from that, yeah, no, things are pretty good. Can't complain.
Yeah, good. Even more so, I'm going to be complaining about Tories a little bit later based on the Women's Euros, but we'll come to that. A little bit later.
Good.
I can't think of a segue. Do you know what else can't come up with a segue quite easily?
What's that?
Video games.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
No, it's like barrel scraping now.
I mean, it's true, though. You ask a video game to segue, it can't answer you and go, I can think of a good segue.
This is true. They're not quite there yet.
No. So, there you go. I don't know. What have you been playing, Stu? Put me out of my misery.
What are you playing?
Okay. Well, a quick roundup, because I've not mentioned them for a while. So, I mentioned Stray and then didn't mention it last week. So, I completed Stray a little while ago. Well, probably a week and a half now. And it's a decent game. It's one of those where the idea of it caught fire in people's imaginations and stuff. And, a bit like Untitled Goose Game sort of thing. And, so it, blew up online. It's one of those things where, like Morbius, the film, which bombed, and then there were a load of memes about it, and the production companies thought, "Oh, it's got memes. It must be like catching fire." So they put it back out in theaters, and still nobody went to watch it. And I'm not sure whether that's happened with Stray. I hope it hasn't. It's a decent enough game. It's not amazing, and it's not revelatory or anything. It's nice. It's a slight diversion, and it's not very long, but that's not a problem. It's a little bit kind of, there's a lot they can do with the idea, and I'd like to see that stuff worked on by other people, and like we said, loads of people are going to be stealing the idea, so I think we'll see it. But not a bad game. It's not a game of the year contender for me by any stretch, but a nice sort of diversion. And the other one was Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which I've really been enjoying when I've had the chance to play it, and it's just a really good one to jump on for a blast. I love the fact that you can just you just pick areas on a map and you do that mission, and it only lasts 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that sort of a thing, and you can jump in and out. And it's got some great movesets and some nice processes, and it's good. It's good for a blast, and it's again, as I said at the time, it's a recommend from me, that one. Although it definitely brings up the thing of, what's your minimum acceptable level of jank in a game, because it's one of the jankiest it's possibly the jankiest Nintendo game I can even think of, at least since 8 or 16-bit times, because the frame rate just tanks to a point where it's eating all your inputs. You've got no idea what when you're pressing the attack button where it's going to land or when, and moving the camera at the same time, and it's turning into a slideshow. So it's like, it's not really fit for purpose, this thing, in the modern world. But because it's a good game, you forgive these things. But it definitely stands out. I think developers are thinking much more about this sort of stuff before putting it out generally, and I think it's that the Switch is given a pass just because it's like everyone owns one, so games have got to be put on it, and even if they're not really the right platform. So but it's good enough to fight through the absolute hideous jank.
So I've got a couple of thoughts on both games you've just spoke about. In terms of what's acceptable amounts of jank, if you're still having fun, that's acceptable. That's all it comes down to. If you still enjoy what you're playing despite the jank, it's fine. Sure, improve it, but that's what it comes down to. It's not an excuse for developers, but I've always gone for, this bit's frustrating. But overall, do you know what? I like the game. That's how I always look at it for me on that side of things. With regards to Stray, you're right. It's not Game of the Year contender at all. But again, I think we're into this situation at the moment where people are looking at games as a complete binary. They're either Game of the Year or they're trash.
Yeah.
As the whole. And Stray is one of those games where I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. But you're right, it's not Game of the Year. It's not going to hit my list of Game of the Year at all. But also, it's going to be nowhere near a game where I go, yeah, it was a bit rubbish in the end or anything like that. It's a perfectly enjoyable game. It's like when you watch that at some point in the year, you'll watch a series on like Disney Plus or Netflix or Amazon or something like that. And you'll play it, you'll watch it, you'll enjoy it. And then when you're thinking about stuff at the end of the year, what's really stood out, it just won't be on any list for any reason whatsoever. But I think Stray is that. Whilst you're playing it, it's great. But also, modders are having fun with it because someone put Garfield in it and someone's managed to put Spyro the Dragon in it. So, it's that alone is... quite happily will replay that with Garfield, especially if someone can mod it so that Garfield talks and narrates his way through it as well. That would just be brilliant.
That would be amazing, and I would chuck down a load more cash to have that as DLC. But it's nice when people take hold of these things in the community, and I think it shows that it's fired people's imaginations because they don't really bother unless it's a game that they're enjoying or a cultural moment, and it's definitely one of those. So yeah, definitely worthwhile.
And 25 quid as well for it's when we spoke about pricing of like big games before. This is a big game. Right, it may come across or be marketed as indie, but it's got Sony behind it. Yeah. It's a big game, and kudos to whoever made the decision not to try and get 60 quid for it and just release it at 25. Because at that point, if you said to me that's 60, 70 quid and I played it, I'd be going, ooh,
yeah.
I don't know, and. It's better than a coffee cup game, a cup of coffee game that we spoke about before. And I think 25 quid is that nice. Yeah, do you know what? I'll give that a go. And I've often said this about niche sports titles and stuff like that. Like handball, don't release that at 40, 50 quid. AFL Evolution, don't release that at 40, 50, 60 quid. Release them at 25 quid to the audience, to the markets that aren't going to try it. At that full price, and you'll get that hit. It's the same as I think like the Bigs, which is that arcade style baseball game that was around the Wii and 360 era. That came out full price initially, and then the Bigs 2 came out at a lesser price, I think, and it performed much better. And it was because it was released at a decent price point. That again, Stray, I think, has hit it perfectly. But as I said, and it says to me that you can try it, play it, throw it away afterwards, and you're done, and you're not going to feel shortchanged. So, more of that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's I think it's that price on the PS5, isn't it? I can never really look at PS5 prices, but brilliant niche for them because it's kind of not a AAA, but it's still an exclusive, or at least it is currently, I think. And it looks nice, but it's not too vertically priced so that you're like, oh bloody hell, I'm not sure about that. And they could do, even though they're still kind of lead in the IP wars, Sony could do with a few more of them, I think.
Oh, I totally get it. Sony is at its best when they've got these niche but fun titles. So I will always look to the likes of Tokyo Jungle, Rain, Puppeteer, those sort of games where they're not big UIP, they're not like multi-million dollar efforts, they're just good fun games, and that's when Sony are at its best, when they think that little bit outside the box. Or and again, this isn't a Sony made game as such, it is like from an independent studio, but they've backed it, and that's what I've always thought of Sony as. I'm disappointed that Sony's now seen as the ones that churn out big third person adventures, because they're more than that. Sony were always the ones that took a chance and tried something. You know, we got Vib Ribbon, for crying out loud. That technically is a game that shouldn't exist in any way, shape or form when it did.
Yeah.
Because when Vib Ribbon came out, everyone was like, 3D, 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 what can we do? And they went, nah, let's have a couple of lines.
Yeah.
You know, Karushi, or IQ Mania, we would have called it. Again, it was an outside-the-box puzzle action game that didn't get the audience it deserved, but they tried things, whereas I think current Sony's a little bit too safe.
Yeah.
So seeing stuff like Stray come in, I think is really good, and I think hopefully it performs well enough they look at other projects like that.
Yeah, I really hope so. They get a bit money blind. You know, it's like all companies do to a degree, but yeah, they're like, oh, we can rest on our it's easier said than done, laurels now, because Last of Us 2 made us 600 squillion quid kind of thing. And, you know, it's like, nope, now's the time to do the innovation. When you've got the money, don't just keep churning out the same thing. Start doing independent projects and just, you know, going swinging for the fences and doing weird stuff. Because now you'll never get a better chance, a better time than when you've just made 300 million off a game, you know. So, yeah, they should be doing it.
And the message of this is Sony remaster Puppeteer, you cowards. God, that was the most unfortunate game when it released right at the end of the PS3's life cycle as a PS3 exclusive.
Yeah. No one to touch it, really.
No one touched it. It is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. But there you go. So from one set of sweet games, we're going to travel all the way over to another sweet game.
Oh yeah.
Can you sense a segue?
I can sense it. It's in the air.
Segue. Yeah. I've been playing Sweet Transit.
Oh.
Which is a city building simulation based around trains, essentially. So what you've got here is basically it's a toy train set. Essentially, so you build like train tracks, and you've got to get from like the lumber yard to the town to the coal mine and stuff like that. And then the way you do it is by laying train tracks and then setting routes, and you've got to expand towns and then make sure you've got enough workers and then enough resources and then the workers are happy, etc., etc. And the only form of travel is trains. So that's essentially what you do. You use the trains to build out and expand all the usual trappings you get with a resource management simulation city builder type thing. Still in early access at the moment, the game, but it's one I got a code for and I've been playing it and it's really enjoyable. It's got a strange art style. In a way, it's all very much greens and browns. You know, it looks like it's been made almost by the Gears of War head designer in terms of the amount of colour that's in it. That is not much, but it works for what it is. It feels very industrial, which is really, really good. So the main concept is you kind of start playing. It tries to give you this overworld tutorial. And you go, connect this train, this station to this station, watch it all go. Now you need to expand and get to here. You need to set a new route and do this, hand hold it, and then it kind of lets you go. And they basically, it's connecting up different industries. That's all the game is. It's a glorified puzzle game in that way. You are networking industries together using train tracks, and then use that to then build up towns and cities and everything. And it's another one of those games, but it's got its own unique selling point that is enough that it makes you go, okay, this is interesting, but without trying to rewrite the rule book. And yeah, I really, really like it. But it all evolves as well. So you start off and everything's like steam driven, and then you build, and then you get to like diesel powered and stuff like that. Now, I've not seen if it improves further to like electricity based or anything like that. I haven't got that far into it, but I do hope that is something they do. Is they kind of go the full evolution from like old steam trains right the way through to, you know, something futuristic even. You know, can we build it to like something that's in the future? But yeah, it's really good. You have to consider keeping all like your citizens happy and everything. So can you get water and food and other resources to them? And if they're not happy, they become less productive, so you produce less, and then obviously you go into a spiral. But it's just overall, the balance of it is really good. It plays really well. It's just a little bit too dull looking to me. I'd like something else, maybe a bit more obvious, a bit more vibrant. But I'm having a really good time with it so far.
Yeah, that sounds like a good. Well, calling it a gimmick is not fair, really. But the idea of improving through the years and going through the different technologies is a really good one. So yeah, fingers crossed that it stays good till the end.
Yeah, and I think the idea of building a train set with a purpose is good. Because I've seen other games that are just like, you can build your own train tracks and ride them. It's like, yeah, it's all well and good, but I could do that at home with a model train set if I really wanted to. So giving me objectives and goals, but without going, if they'd have done this and it was like city skylines in depth, I don't think it would have worked. That adds a train network to it as just a thing for sort of like moving people, but that's not the main point of it. So what these have done is gone for, this is our main point, which is building the train tracks and the sets, and then these are the goals around them, and linked it all together. They've not just gone, let's just focus on trains and do what every other city builder does. So kudos to the developers, made a really good effort there. Still some work to do, and it is in early access. It has got full mod support as well, but I've not tried any mods, so be interested to see what the modding community does with this, if they get their hands on it. Will they do some sort of like extra types of trains, different like biomes and stuff like that? But day one mod support is one thing they're big on as well. So yeah, I'll be interested to see where this one goes.
Ah, cool. Yeah, well, hopefully the modders won't just make like big booby trains with
You say hopefully. You say hopefully. You want that really?
Hopefully they will. Yeah, that's what I really want. Yeah.
Modders don't really do much of that though. Modders are really good.
Yeah, they are. If you're going to spend all that time, you're not going to...
Yeah, you don't get many penises.
No.
Or phallic symbols. They actually do care about what they're doing, so I'm going to defend the modding community from this evil person here.
I think it's just because I want to see them,
Yeah.
Penis trains.
Well, there's internet websites for stuff like that. I'll link you afterwards.
Oh, okay, yeah, hit me up.
So, anything else from you?
What are you playing?
Well, games-wise, I had a decent session of actual couch co-op last week. I went round to my mates and just played some games. And
you didn't move your router onto your couch?
No.
Okay.
That's normally my best friend and only friend. Yeah, stick some googly eyes on it and pretend. But yeah, no, I actually sat down with a real living human and played some games. You forget how much fun it is, I prefer cooperative to competitive. I'm not a very sort of competitive person. But that said, we played some Mario Strikers and I hammered him on 3 different occasions. He didn't get a goal against me in the entire time we played, so that was all right. No, I'm honestly not bothered about stuff like that. But I enjoyed playing that. But new to me was the House of the Dead on Switch. So it's like a full remake of the original game, and it's a great idea in concept. So you use the Joy-Cons as the teeny tiny Joy-Cons as your gun, a little bit like the Wiimote, but yeah, it doesn't it kept losing the tracking like all the time on the reticle, so you couldn't just kind of instinctively move it around like you did with the Wiimote. It was much more kind of like, oh god, I'm going to press the reset button so it recenters and blah blah blah. But I mean, it was a good idea and it was good to play with a real living person. I would never play it sitting on my own. I'd start feeling really sad, when something doesn't work properly and you're playing it for ages on your own and it reminds you of the thing that actually worked and you start getting a little bit kind of depressed about it. So, but, as a group activity, it was a bit of a laugh. And I think, it's very much pitched at that, which, Mario Strikers is as well. It's not a great one-player game. It's actually fairly duff. But with 2 people, it's just that kind of fun chaos. So so that was good. And I think we played some. Yes, played some Mario Kart 8 because we played some of the DLC, some of the new DLC, and yeah, that was kind of fun. I was garbage at that. I got absolutely hammered. It was really funny because I haven't played it for years. I didn't realise if you come really low in the pack, they keep giving you like golden mushrooms so you can catch up.
Yeah.
And like I was 9th and I'd get these golden mushrooms and I'd still end up like 12th. So that's how bad I was. But again, you know, that I don't really care about whether I win or I don't, and it was enjoyable to play. And the new courses seem to be, well, they're patchy. Some are good and some are not from what I played, but it was interesting to play them anyway. So yeah, couch co-op, you know, bit of fun, you know, good excuse to take the piss out of each other, and yeah, it was decent. It was a good time.
Awesome. Yeah, Mario Kart's a strange one because when you play it single player, you kind of forget other power-ups exist. So because you only get green shells or bananas because you're generally leading. True. So you get, that's it, bananas. Oh wow, more bananas. Like, I got to a point where I think I was playing one of the Mario Karts, so I didn't even bother going for the boxes. It's like, it's not even worth going slightly off course to try and get the power up.
No.
But that's why I like the online of Mario Kart 8 or playing with someone else, because more of a chance of sucking and being down and then getting some of the good power ups. Like, I like being right at the back and then getting the bullet bill.
I got that.
Off you go.
I got that and didn't know what to do with it. I think
kind of like, I'll just let go.
Yeah, this is how useless I was. I was just completely gack. But it was good to be reminded how good a game it is. You know, it's nicely structured and it looks gorgeous and doesn't seem to age, and it's brilliant for kids, and it's, you know, adults can just mash the buttons, and yeah, it's one of Nintendo's best games, I think, really. Yeah.
Although, again, this might be sacrilegious, it's not very good in single player. There's just no. I'm glad they have got a full single player, but Mario Kart, it just lacks in single player. The fun is all about beating someone you know, or strangers.
Yes, yeah, playing as a group, it's got to be, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm surprised they've never done a career mode in it. That surprised me. I've not put a story behind it or something like that. But, you know, it's who am I to tell Nintendo how to do Mario Kart when it sells like it does?
Well, yeah. They're all about, Nintendo are all about minimal effort for maximum gain. You know, I mean, you can tell just by the fact they're releasing DLC for this thing, and it's existed over 2 console generations, this game now, and you know, they're just like, new Mario Kart, why would we, when it's still selling, you know, and we can just chuck some cheap DLC at people, you know. They're so lazy. It's not laziness, but it's just so, it is cynical, and you don't think of Nintendo as a cynical company, really. Well, I don't, but when it comes
to the most cynical,
yeah, in a way they are, yeah, because yeah, it's just, there's hardly any single player. It's fully multiplayer. They don't have to put much effort in. They had the engine already, you know, when they made Mario Kart 8. And anyway, there you go. But you know, it's a good game, so can't complain too much.
Yeah. It's, you know, when you get, you know, on the Switch 2 or whatever they do, you get Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe. Actually, Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They could bring back the Super Mario Kart branding.
Yeah. You see, you've given them ideas now. That's it.
There you go.
That's 10 years of them reaping those rewards.
You get to mind you, a lot of games companies or a lot of electronics companies don't like the number 9, do they? They don't like the number 9.
That's true.
A lot of them skip it. But there you go. I wonder why it is. I think I must try and find that out.
It is weird.
One day.
Yeah. It's a strange one.
Was it Apple that really done that to, like, originally? Probably not originally, but the one where it first noticed they went from iPhone 8 to iPhone X.
Oh, probably,
yeah. Windows went from Windows 8 to Windows 10.
Yeah.
Mac OS went to X and they just stayed with X. I don't know.
It does feel incomplete.
Will we not get a PlayStation 9?
Probably not.
I mean, we'll never get an Xbox 9 because it'll never be called anything with a number properly again.
Well, we'll never get any we'll never get any technology that far in the future because we'll all be like in caves underground, escaping the oppressive heat.
Well, we'll all be dead, yeah.
Or dead.
Well, but yeah. Human race. Or we'll get the Microsoft Xbox Hawk 720.
I like that name.
Yeah, well, it's just going to be a skateboard peripheral. Don't forget, there's a warehouse full of like crappy skateboard peripherals from that crappy Tony Hawk game, where motion controls are all the way. And Microsoft's going to go, tell you what, let's just put a video games console in there, a bunch of Raspberry Pi 7s in there, and then there you go. That's our new console.
Yep.
There you go.
Again, you're giving them ideas. I know you're just throwing these away. Yeah,
I know. I always do. In fact, if you check the website, I've got an article about having ideas and ADHD and never following through and then seeing other people do them. But yeah, check that if I ever finish writing the article. So one more from me that I've been playing, and I'm a bit late to the party with this one, as others have already been playing it. So there's no point me reviewing it and saying, it's good or anything. People already know. It's overwhelmingly positive on Steam. It's got great reviews, I think, on Xbox and everything and in the media. And it's Citizen Sleeper.
Nice.
Yeah, I've kind of got into sort of like some of the role-playing games where it's text-based, like tabletop RPG style stuff, or those choose-your-own-adventure books. Especially after getting back into Disco Elysium, which had to take a little break from because, God, that's a depressing game at times.
Right.
But I played Citizen Sleeper, or I'm in the middle of playing Citizen Sleeper, and it's more storybook than it is game, I will say that. You do have to make choices, and everything has an effect on something, and there is voice acting, but there's also just a lot of reading to do, which is an issue for me at times. But it's light text on a dark background, so kudos to Citizen Sleeper, and it's all very readable, so they've obviously had a little think about what they're doing there. Even on the Steam Deck it works well for me. And yeah, it's interesting. The story is engaging. Don't think for me it is engaging as Disco Elysium is so far. But I like the characters in it. It's got a hell of a lot of charm to it. And there's good stories within this overarching universe that the game's got. And I really enjoy the narrative, the way it all comes together. The characters are well-rounded. That's one thing I think it improved on over some of Disco Elysium. I find the characters are more relatable in many ways, which is really, really good. It doesn't surprise me, actually, that I kind of fell for the characters in terms of really got into them. Because, again, this is from the people who done In Other Waters, who managed to tell a story without any actual story in a wonderful way, and this does that as well. But it's just, for me, for someone with ADHD, the amount of reading I have to do and actually read is difficult for me. And not because of my vision. That's purely, it is more because of an ADHD thing, where I'm reading and then my mind's drifting off because there's no other stimuli there to keep me engaged. Whereas if you have the full voice acting, I'm fully engaged with that because the voices are keeping me there as well. But again, I know I'm probably in a little bit of a minority there.
Not with me. You're in a majority. In fact, it's 100% majority in this room.
There you go.
Yeah, because I thought it was fantastic what I played of it. I played it for a good few hours until I was okay, I'm done with that, I was I'm done with the mechanics, I'd like to see the end, but I'll YouTube it. And I think it was because there was just too much text in the end. It was there's a point at which for me it's like, okay, you need the text for world building, and then you need the text for plot and establishing the plot and moving the plot forward, and you need a good script as well so that you're engaged with the characters. But then there's a point where, because it's a game, it's got to circle back over concepts and updates on certain characters, and it's the way that you would not see in any good TV or film, because they're moving on from that thing and it's creating an arc and you're reaching an end point. And games with a complex plot can sometimes just end up getting a bit circular, I think. And it's just like a bit of a whirlpool, you're kind of stuck in doing the same actions. So I agree with you. I felt that was its only drawback, really, and that if they'd got to a point where they fell away from the text and made it more about the dice rolls and sped that up, I think that would have been a good point, and then you could have careened and catapulted towards the end of the game really fast, just using the mechanics that they'd established, and they didn't do that, and I think that was slightly to its detriment. So yeah, I'm on board with you there.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I mean, the dice rolling and that the tabletop RPG mechanics are sublime in this. The dice rolls are amazing. I love doing that. That part of the game's brilliant. I'd almost like some of these games to have do you want a full in-depth experience where you're seeing every interaction between characters, or would you like us to give you a too long didn't read narrative as well? Get someone in, voice record, this is happening, this happens, almost a narrated version of the Star Wars intro, and then only pause in that to then go, actually, this interaction between those two characters is important, so we will play that out for you, and then take you to the dice roll. So when you get to the dice rolls and you need to make the decisions, you've still got an idea, but without having to go through, so much reading. Again, I know it means maybe changing the game, and maybe it's not for this game, but I'd like to see a game that tries that, because it might hook more people. Because, to be honest, the opening of this, the only game there I kind of nearly fell off completely on the opening, because it was so long-winded, and I was just please, what is this it? Where's the actual game? Was probably Akami.
Yeah.
And it just needs that to bring me into the game quicker, which is something, again, I don't want to compare it to Disco Elysium, but hey, I'm going to, it's my show. It's Disco Elysium, instantly gameplay. Before, you have your bit of talking back and forth, and that feels like, you're doing it to create a character. And then you're straight into moving, you've got to start doing things while telling the story, and then you get a lot more exposition, but it's still doing the game mechanics as that's happening, and you feel you're in a game. Whereas this, I feel like if I could have just got this on Kindle to start with.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because once it does open up, you get to the actual mechanics of the game. Oh, it is so good. But there's a lot more to come as well. I think they've just released, or they are releasing, the Flux episode,
right?
Which is the first of their DLC. So maybe that might have some improvements, or it might assume that people already get the idea and maybe cut down on the exposition a little bit. Who knows? But it's a really good game. Definitely not one for ADHDers, though, I would say.
Yeah. Fair play. Yeah, it's a good one. It's definitely in my top 10 games of the year so far, even with the criticisms, because you just appreciate what they're doing, so much that even if I had to bail out a little early, I got a lot from it.
I might have to have a little think about that, because I'm not sure if it is, but I've not got far enough into the game yet to be that definitive on an answer for myself. So tune in at the end of the year and see where Brad puts it as well.
Awesome.
But that's it from games from me. Is that it from games from you?
It is, yeah.
Do you know what else is games?
What is games?
Sport is games.
Sport is games.
And this week's weekend just gone, a certain event happened in this country, in the UK, for anyone who's listening away. Specifically, a certain event happened in England. And the English women won the Euros. And an English team actually won a major final. And Yay. I was there with my daughter, Edith. And it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Just the atmosphere. 87,000 people inside Wembley. I've been to Wembley before. Both the new Wembley and the old Wembley. Went to see the Women's FA Cup final about 3 years ago between Man City and West Ham. And there was probably 30 odd 40,000 there, which is a lot. But even though there's that many there, when the stadium's still only half full, it just looks sad at times. And the only previous time I've been to Wembley was I went to see the London Monarchs versus the Barcelona Dragons, and then the London Monarchs versus Montreal Machine in the European Football League, which was the European version of the NFL, despite having a team from Montreal in it. Which was weird. But anyway, but yeah, we went to see that. I went with my uncle back when I was a nipper. I'm going to say maybe 8 years old, something like that. And that was full for me, but again, probably wasn't full. But 87,000 people cheering on women's football is amazing. But the thing that really struck me about the day was two things. One, as that full-time whistle went, and you probably heard it being said by others and stuff like that as well, it felt like that puff of the whistle from the referee was signalling a social change in this country. Yeah. It just felt like it. There was that immediacy of a woman could do whatever a woman wants to do. A young girl doesn't have to just go, this is what society dictates your dreams have to be. Your dreams could be whatever you want them to be, and no one can stop you. And honestly, it was that sense. And looking at Edith, like at the time, I was filming the full-time bit to get some reactions. I say because I couldn't see much anyway because of my vision, so I wanted to film it so I could, like, when I do get a chance possibly to watch it back. And I managed to catch my talk to her. She just looked in awe. She wasn't jumping up and down like crazy, but she was just in awe of it all. And we started, like, literally coming out the stadium, we started speaking. She said to me, she went, Daddy, there's going to be a lot more girls want to play football now, isn't there? And I said, there is. That's good. Because now you've got to get better. She went, why? I said, because there's more girls that want to play. There's going to be less spaces on teams, and you've got to work harder and show that you're better than all the other girls. And that's a good thing. Your coaches will help you. I will help you. We'll make anything you need possible. And she was like, okay, yeah, but then I will start to work hard. I will go out and practice and things like that. And I heard other girls were sort of asking their parents, Daddy, like, Mummy, Daddy, can I start football? Which, again, it's like, it's really sad to go, they're asking to start football and they wasn't already playing. These girls were like 9, 10 years of age and stuff like that. Because for me, girls play football is a normal thing. I've taken Edith to play football since she was 16 months old. So, you know, I've already jumped that barrier, that hurdle of, no, she wants to play football, she'll play football. And it was wonderful. And one of the other things that stuck out to me was I needed help to and from the stadium, the train station, everything, because I'm partially sighted. So I spoke to a lot of, like, train workers at station, stewards, volunteers, etc., etc. And every one of them was talking about the difference in the atmosphere, was that there was no sense of there's going to be trouble at any point. And one of them I said, does that help because they won? She went, no, because even when the men win, there's trouble. There's trouble after a game. Here, there's nothing. Everyone's in good spirits before and after the game. Like, German people in good spirits who were there and everything. And I noticed it as well, that whenever I've taken my son to football games when he was younger, like to watch Liverpool play or even just be in the area, you have to hold him tight. Now, I'm not worried about Liverpool fans. I know, like, if we're there, you know, I know Anfield, I know the area. I used to live in, like, Highton. So, again, whenever away teams are there, you see them, you hold him a bit tighter. When he was younger, my daughter, the only reason she was holding my hand was because it was busy, and it was just like, it's a bit busy for here, so hold my hand so I don't lose you. Yeah, wasn't because, oh God, just in case something happens, I've got to make sure I've got you. And it just felt good. It felt so good. And it was really fun. There was a funny moment just before where we was getting help to where we needed to go outside the ground. and a bunch of English fans. Like, it was a woman. It was 2 women, a man, and a kid as well there. So, like, I assume a family. And they went up to the steward we was with and went, "Excuse me, our ticket says we've got to go over there, but that'll be where the Germans are, isn't it?" And the steward went, "No, it's all mixed." And they looked up, you could hear them go, "What? Mixed?"
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is your first game, but this is your first women's game, clearly, but that's good at the same time. And it's like, like this idea that mixed is a bad thing, but it's only men's football where it's an issue. I was speaking to my podiatrist, telling her about it. She said, like, she goes to sort of like watch rugby, and it's all mixed at all levels. It's literally just men's football where it's not.
Yeah.
And so I think there's going to be a change happening. I think that, honestly, I think we're going to see a change. I mean, it's a shame that the Tories have already gone, no, what? We're not going to do everything we can to make girls get equal opportunities sport at school level, because, hey, why not jump on the back of something good? Why not just shut it down straight away?
Yeah.
Bloody, yeah.
Honestly,
I know. It's like, you have a win there. You have a win right there. But yeah, no. But I think change is going to be forced on them anyway, so I don't think it matters too much. But yeah, it was just amazing, and already, I'm seeing, like, we're going to Reading in a couple of weeks to watch Liverpool women in the opening day of the season, and we went on to get our tickets last night because I went, someone asked about them, and I went, I don't know, I don't even know if they are on sale yet. Oh yeah, they are. Oh my god, there's not many tickets left.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh great, let's get buying the tickets. Now, only one section of the ground is open for this at the moment. Hopefully they open up other sections of the ground. But the fact that these games are selling out, like England's next game against USA is sold out at Wembley again, which is really good. Liverpool sold out. I'm now worried I won't get tickets for the Merseyside derby because they might sell out. So, I'm going to have to be on it, or, ask favour from friends who have got fan cards and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't want to miss out, but there's a chance we might, because it's going to be that initial hit of being really, really popular, which is good on the whole. I'm worried about costs going up, and I hope that doesn't happen, because the one... I said this on Twitter, we don't go to women's football because it's cheap, but we get to the games because it's cheap.
Yeah.
If you start pricing it up, going, we can make money from this now, you're going to alienate your original fans. Because, we go because we like women's football and we want to expose my daughter to it. But there will people who go because it's cheap. There are going to be those people, and if you price them out, they're just going to go, nah, don't think I'll bother now.
Yeah.
Which would be, that's where you start losing out, or you get to basically men's football. We don't want that.
Yeah.
Overall, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm just going to let you get a word in now.
Well, I was going to say, now is not the time for rampant consumer capitalism. Now is the time for making sure it keeps its grassroots feeling and allows as many people to get involved as possible, because it will never grow unless they do that. You'll get a peak of people going because we won the Euros, and then it will drop off and it will maintain a level, but it will never get back to where it was. But if you keep it grassroots, you keep it accessible, if if the sports ministers actually got behind it, then you could make it into one of the biggest things in the world for us, like it is for the American team. And that's what you want to aim for. You want it to be different. You want it to be separate from men's football. All the things that we like, or I like, about the women's game that I watched over the, unfurling over the course of the tournament, were all the things that are absent from the men's game and that I don't enjoy. And the reason I stopped following football, one of many reasons I stopped following the football years ago, is because became a game that I didn't recognise anymore and I didn't enjoy. And it's got all of that stuff in spades, It's got time on the ball, fewer reckless challenges, much less acting, bit more time and space. It's got all just the behaviour of the crowd, just everything really, the infrastructure, everything about it is totally unique to itself. And you want to keep it like that and bring people to it rather than make it more like the men's game and say, well, it's just men's game part 2.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things I used to semi-criticise women's football for when you used to compare it would have been in the old days, I'm saying, but like in the 90s and early 2000s, like a woman could score a goal from anywhere because the goalies were generally crap. I won't sugarcoat it. As a former goalie myself, women's goalies were crap. That's completely changed now. You know, the Mary Earps performance against Germany was out of this world for one. And I saw other really good performances. The Denmark goalie against Germany, despite conceding 4, was outstanding. Okay, I'm not going to go into performance analysis. But I used to go, there's a lot of mistakes in women's football, and that's the issue, you know, blah, blah, blah. Actually, men's teams, they're not perfect, but they have to be, you know, with the likes of Liverpool and Man City now, you're getting close to perfection. And that's not fun, because you make a mistake, it's over. Whereas women's football, there are mistakes that aren't always immediately punished with a goal. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But they're allowed to be human. They're allowed to make mistakes. Whereas men's football, a lot of the time, players are robots now. There's such peak physical condition, you know, that they've either got to be going 100 miles an hour or they break. And every pass has to be perfect. But you see, like at Liverpool, if you see Trent Alexander-Arnold overhit a cross, it's bemoaned that all of a sudden he's a bad right back, and this right back's better. And it's like, but it's one overhit cross. I don't care. But it matters, because that overhit cross could mean you draw instead of win. Because now we've got to a point in men's football where a draw is a bad result because you haven't won. Because that pretty much gives the advantage to that one other team. Yeah, it's why I like watching lower league football, like Championship football, and sometimes non-league and stuff like that, because mistakes are allowed to happen. And top women's football, mistakes can happen. You're right, it is that little bit slower, but it doesn't anymore look slower like they are slower and rubbish. It's just like you're watching it on a normal speed rather than fast forward. Yeah. And I like that. You get to see the skills, and they are skillful. The passing accuracy has got up there because they're getting access to the coaches and everything. And I said, the societal change now is, if you see a woman on a construction site, that hopefully won't become an oddity. Or if a woman goes, yeah, I'm going to be a mechanic, they're not going, yeah, but you're a girl. It should be, all right, yeah, that's what you want to do. I've just got one question. Do you know what these parts are? Because that's the question we ask every new mechanic. Yep, right. Come on then, let's get you learned up. Yeah. Because that's how it should be. Yeah. It doesn't matter what gender you are, whether you're male, female, trans, any, non-binary. It does not matter anymore. And it's, again, football will get a bad rep, but football especially, can always lead to change. And we are beginning to see it, I think, in front of our faces now. We're going to start to see women almost as important as when they got the vote. Which, again, still feels weird to have to say that women got the vote. But this is going to be such a defining moment in this country, at least. But by the sounds of it, it's having reverberations around the world. And that's a weird thing, because women have won these tournaments before from other countries, but it seems to me England winning it is having worldwide repercussions for the good. So I'm positive. I say, until the next male prime minister comes along and somehow shuts it all down and what have you. And it was a double win as well for the England Lions, because they didn't have to go to Downing Street and meet Boris Johnson.
Yay! That's the best part.
I know. They've really treated them like winners. Because, that would have been a hypocrite too far.
Oh, my God. Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree. And I think it has the potential to be a watershed moment, and probably already is, like you say. But even if not, it's definitely a checkpoint of, well, stop thinking of anybody as, unimportant or useless or, they can't do this thing properly, in inverted commas, simply because they're measuring it against what the men do. And it's like, able-bodied cis men, and it's like, but that's just denying a whole swathe of stuff that is absolutely brilliant. Like, I watched some of the wheelchair tennis at Wimbledon, and I enjoyed that far more than most of the men's game that I watched. The men's game for me is like the football, not unwatchable, but a lot of times pointless, because it's like you say, it's so min-maxed, to use a gaming term. Any small mistake is punished. If somebody gets a little bit ahead, it normally means they've won. It's just not there as a form of entertainment for me most of the time. Whereas, the wheelchair tennis just played at a different pace, a different skill set. It relied on different perception and strategy, and it was just much more enjoyable because you could see the workings of their minds as they were doing it, and thinking, God, that was a clever decision. And I felt that with the women's game as well. And it's what's the difference? The difference is that it hasn't got that big corporate hand stuffed into the middle of it, mixing it all up.
Yeah, perfection is not all it's cracked up to be.
I agree.
Again, it's something that needs to change in the world, because I'm someone who, whenever I fail at something, will go into I don't know how long of a spiral. Like days, weeks, months, possibly even to the point of near suicide. Because society teaches me you need to be perfect. And you don't. You don't need to be perfect.
No.
Again, there's levels, okay? Like, I'm not going to go and do, like, a heart bypass on someone. I go, it's all right if I get it wrong. There's certain levels with certain things. You want competence at the same time. But, yeah, I just, I've still got this thing, like the internship I'm doing, like, in the PR company. I'm still doing things, like, I recorded some GIFs, whatever you want to call them, I don't care. I had to record some from a game trailer and do them. My first thing was like, I put them up and just went, sorry if these are rubbish. Or I saw like the press kit had been put together and they didn't seem to use mine. And my first thought was, I've mucked that up, I've just absolutely ruined it. And said just for feedback, can you let me know what was wrong? And the person replied, said, I just haven't uploaded them yet, that's on me. I was like, all right, okay, cool. But my first reaction, I do something, it's like, it's not going to be good enough, because we've been told you've got to be perfect to succeed.
Yeah.
And that's something that's got to change. That's another thing that's got to change. And women's football's not perfect, and I never want it to be perfect. I want it to be accessible, and I want people to have the opportunity to be able to do it, and to go from there. But I've got hope. I've got hope that, again, my kids will see a better world than we are currently living at the moment if we don't burn it down first.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And brilliance is only brilliance if it is intermittent. If it's expected as the norm, then it's never brilliance. It's never perfection. You can't just be perfect the whole time. And what that is that, professional standard. It's like, that should be a level of competence, not a level of perfection. Yeah. And, like you said. So I agree. And it was just, to end on a good note with it, it was just brilliant. It was a brilliant moment. And very much not because I'm English and we won, but because
I wanted Germany to win.
Yeah, I don't mind. I honestly didn't mind. I just was like, whoever wins, everybody wins, and it felt like that. It felt like it was the right stage at the right time, and whoever won was going to make a massive change. So yeah, it was a brilliant event. Yeah. It was a really brilliant event.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, I wanted Germany to win. I've always had an affiliation with Germany in terms of international football for some reason. Don't ask me why. Since Euro '96, when I was a young England fan, there's something about Germany. It's their kits, it's the way they played football. I don't know. So from a heart point of view, I wanted Germany to win. But from my daughter point of view, I wanted an England win.
Yeah.
And it was, so I was in a win-win situation. I even had a Lionesses t-shirt to go with as well.
Awesome.
So much so, strangers on a train were asking if they could take a picture of me and Edith together because we look so cute.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it was the guy with the white hair, the cigar, and the shell suit, but.
Oh
no, it wasn't. He's like well, I say young lady. She might be a young lady. I don't know. She had a mask on as well. But she went, oh my god. She goes, you two are so cute. Where are you going to watch the England game? We said, we're going to Wembley. She went, oh my god. I was chatting to her. She went, do you mind if I put it so I can put it on my social media because it's so cute? I was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Fantastic.
And then Edith was telling about how she plays football and how many times she plays football. And it's people are talking, which is really good.
Yes.
But my positive thought that I'm going to finish on is we talk about perfection, right? If you're competent at anything or you specialised in anything, doesn't matter what it is. It could be playing video games, it could be sport, it could be programming, it could be art, it could be writing, it could be customer service, anything. You, by the original meaning of the word, are a genius.
Yeah.
So whenever you hear so-and-so is a genius, it doesn't make them special compared to you. Because if you are competent at anything or you've specialised at one particular thing over anything else, that is your genius by the original meaning of the word. Yeah. So all of you are a genius. I'm going to shut up now.
Hey, well, I like that. I like that because I like to think of myself as a genius. But no, that's good. And funnily enough, when it comes to work, when I was getting interviewed, like one of the things I said about myself is I would never say, "Oh, I'll be here to make everything like perfect and run really well and better than it ever has." It's important just to make things good, but actually get them done. So as long as they're good, that's enough. And, you don't need to have brilliance in a certain situation. You just have to make it good and make it work. And, yeah, I think competence versus perfection, it's really important. And I'm hoping that's one of the things that comes out of the whole Euros thing, that it just showed how you can be normal in some respects and then absolutely amazing in others. And those highs and lows made you feel connected to those people playing the game much more than you have for years. So there you go, that's my thought anyway. But in the meantime, follow us on all the socials, join our Discord if you want to, and in the meantime, till next week, stay safe and stay sane.